I played that match 3 times and could not beat Mr. Spectacular. So I finally said, screw it, and I let Mr. Spectacular win and keep the belt. Now that was a big shock. The fans didn't expect it. They didn't see it coming. They were like, oh my God, Spectacular beat Johnny J, you know? And then that just cemented Mr. Spectacular as a main event character in my league. Whereas before, he was just a little peon bad guy that was under the hair of Wu-Tang Man. And then just boom, it just lifted him up above everybody else, and he's been on the top of the mountain ever since.
I like Mr. Spectacular.
There's a lot of people that do. I mean, he's one of my best characters right now, you know. So.
Yeah, but you see my reason for not liking him, though. Oh, this thing might be shown after Rampage airs, so I don't know what's happening and nothing like that. So we're just gonna have to see and wait and see what happens whenever you unleash the new episode. I'm interested to see it because you've been having some trouble and stuff. We all know all that trouble we've been going through, but that's old news now.
Yeah, that's all in the past. I'm moving on, you know. I mean, there was some haters. They caused me some trouble, and as a result, you know, I lost all of season 1 of RCW. But the fans of the show, the ones who have watched it from the beginning, they all remember. They all know what happened. And I don't have to have the footage to show them because they already know. And new fans coming in that come to the forums and stuff, they got questions. You know, they just ask them, say, well, hey, what's the deal with Wu-Tang Man? You know, you say he's a former champion. When did he win the belt? You know, and you just go in and you say, well, you know, he had this feud, he feuded this and kind of fills them in.
I always like Wu-Tang, man. He always had. I don't know what it is about him. He just got like a major face kind of name or whatever, and I don't know. It's just something that fits RCW. You can hear Wu-Tang Man. Everybody knows RCW.
Especially, he's the franchise of RCW, if you will. I mean, he's the main character. He was the first wrestler that showed up on RCW season 1. You know, as soon as Mr. T was announced commissioner, Wu-Tang Man was the first one to come out and challenge that. You know, and a lot of people who know the history of RCW know that originally he was based off myself, and when I uploaded that backyard footage that I had, you know, where I did my backyard fed years ago, I was Wu-Tang Man in that fed. So, you know, you think RCW was created by H.A. Duke, which is myself, and then you've got Wu-Tang Man, who is based off of this character. And now in season 2, I've got Wu-Tang Man and H.A. Duke, both on the show. So that's kind of like, you know, it kind of throws a new curveball in there, you know. People are like, well, I mean, is Wu-Tang Man H.A. Duke? Is he not H.A. Duke? You know, which technically he's not. Wu-Tang Man is his own, you know, persona, his own character as far as the call league goes. And then H.A. Duke, of course, would be based off of me being the owner of RCW. You know, there's no more of that Paris Hilton crap. It's all original now.
She was in love with me, dang it.
Yeah, you had a little fling with the digitally animated Paris Hilton there for a while.
Yes, I did.
Until Mr. T killed her, and yeah, so.
Damn. He's dead too.
Yeah, we've killed them all, man. We killed them all.
I've been with y'all for like, I think I started reviewing the show like on, what was it, episode 2 or?
It was
I think
your first appearance in RCW was at RCW SummerSlam, where you had interviewed the Incredible Hulk before his match with He-Man.
Oh yeah.
That was the very first, the debut of Smokey, and yeah, and from there on, you know, you started, you interviewed the Hulk, and then you the next week you interviewed He-Man, and you were blaming He-Man for the whole mess going on between him and Hulk, and then you beat up He-Man backstage, ran away, and then the next thing you know, you were entered into a U.S. title tournament, or a Battle Royal, that's what it was, and you won the Battle Royal, got #1 contendership, beat the Hulk for the U.S. title, and then the rest is history.
Yep, and then I'm still here.
Yep. Yeah, you.
I know you for.
That's a you, Dagger, Osiris, Crimson. Who else is there? Silas Smart.
Fire.
Yeah, there's a Fire. All those guys are like originals from the early part of season 1. Now you guys came in and replaced like Zach and Cody, Ponderosa and Sweetenhouse, all those celebrity characters that I had. All you guys came in and replaced them. And then I started introducing new guys like Munir Ahmed and Reverov. And now season 2.
Reverov was a monster.
Well, now you got season 2. I've got Tsubasa and Tsunami, the Japanese Express, which they haven't properly been introduced yet. We've got Call All the Time. They're an official tag team. The Vengeance Brothers are back. Mr. Vengeance and the Locomotive.
I like that.
I've got the Real American Man, which he hasn't had a proper debut yet. And we've got new monsters like Trevok and Anton Ivanov. And then we've got Zoltar, which the story with Zoltar is that he's actually brothers with Sid from OFW. That's the story I'm running with. Yeah, that's the story I'm running with. Because originally,
you forget one person.
Yeah. I see. Originally with OFW, they were going to be out of business, and a lot of those guys were coming to RCW. And then Daniel decided to reopen OFW, so I had to, get rid of all those guys. Well, I had Sid, I had created him, and he was just this big monster, and he looked awesome. And I'm thinking, well, I really don't want to let him go. So what can I do to keep him? So I got to thinking, I was like, all right, well, I'm going to shave his head. I'm going to give him a beard and put a tattoo on his arm and change his name. Yeah, he looks like Sid, but he's not Sid. He's Sid's brother. So there you go. And that's where Zoltar came from.
I call him Zoltan.
Yeah, Zoltan. I don't know where Zoltar came from. I was just sitting there and I was thinking, what am I going to name this beast? And then it was just like, this name just popped out of thin air, Zoltar. I was like, okay. It's the same thing with Munir Ahmed. I was like, what can I call him? I had the name Ahmed. That's a typical Arabic name, Ahmed. I was like, what kind of a first name could I use? And I got to thinking, I don't know where I come up with these ideas for some of these names. I mean, Reverov
just comes to your head
easily. Revrov's pretty easy because it's forever backwards. Same thing with Trevok, it's covert backwards. So.
You also got Mr. Death and a bunch of other people. I want to ask you something. What are your thoughts? I want to actually hear your thoughts. What are your thoughts on the YGA? Honestly, I want you to hear your honest opinion about them. What is your honest opinion? Yeah,
well,
in the feud they're in right now.
Well, I'll start from the beginning. To be perfectly honest with you, at the very beginning of YGA, whenever you first approached me with the idea, I honestly didn't like the idea at first because I saw Smokey as being the interviewer / wrestler for RCW, kind of like Matt Stryker. Sometimes he's a commentator, sometimes he interviews people, sometimes he wrestles. And I got to thinking, I was like, well, and and of course you were a face character as well. And then I got to thinking, well, how can I get this to work out to where Smokey can become a mega heel and then run with this YGA gimmick? And then that's when I came up with the idea about bringing Johnny J back. And of course everyone knows about anyone who watches RCW knows the story with Johnny J. So I won't get into that. But so that was a big shock. He comes back, he beats Smokey for the U.S. title. That immediately sets Smokey off as becoming a heel because he immediately gets pissed, he starts complaining, and it's basically Smokey the heel is born. Then bringing in YGA was, I had to have something to contend with the corporation. And I got to thinking, I was like, well, I need a stable that's based on face characters, not heel. And then I got to talking with Daniel, and I was thinking, well, two heel factions going at it for dominance of RCW, that could work. So I was like, okay, well, let's go with it. And of course, you brought in Dagger and Silas Marks. And that was when YGA was born. And then, of course, RCW closed down for a little while. And season 2 starts up, and you've got Smoke Dog. He's the new guy in YGA. And I run with Blackout. Silas Marks, the handler for Silas Marks decides that he wants to try something new with his character. He wants to pull him out of YGA, so we run with that. So now you're down to the 4 guys. You bring in Little B, and right now my honest opinion with YGA is You know, you've got Smokey. You know, he's the leader.